On Used Bike Heaven this week, we'll meet Andy Crawshawn, who's looking to change his Honda 600 Hornet for something a little more sporty. We'll have another featured used bike, another riding tip, and some more advice to keep you on the right side of the law. This is Andy Crawshawn. He works as a potato merchant in Cheshire. Andy rides Mini Moto and is currently leading the British Championship in the lightweight production class. On the road though, he rides a Honda Hornet 600, but he quite fancies a change to something a little more sporty.
Hello and welcome to the show, and I have Andy with me. Now Andy, what are you looking for today?
I'm after 600 of some description, preferably a sporty model.
Right, because you currently ride a Hornet, don't you?
I've got a Hornet, yeah. I'd rather have something with a fairing on because you get blasted to death by the wind, if you know what I mean.
Yep, and you're into the race style things, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, it's more for wind protection, yeah.
Right.
You find it hard work riding a Hornet at speed.
Right, okay. So what do you use your bike for?
Sunday fun.
Right, you're a fair weather biker.
Oh yes, definitely. I've done my stint of getting cold and wet.
Exactly. Okay, well what's your budget?
I'm looking for something, I don't know, 3.5, 4 grand, something like that.
All right, so I'm not too far out then. We've actually got for you today the ZX6, that's 36.
Right.
100. The SV650, this is 3800. And I've actually gone slightly over, but you are a Honda man. CBR 600 at 41.
Right.
So what do you think of these three?
First impressions. Kawasaki, I've never had much to do with them. The wheels are a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd paint
and it is slightly high mileage, really. I mean, I'd go there if I thought it was right.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
I thought it was a bargain.
The bottom end of your budget, so that might sway you.
Possibly, yeah.
We'll see how you feel when you ride it. But yes, I know what you're saying about the wheels. They're a little bit bright.
Yes, just a bit, yeah. I'm too old for that.
The SV.
I do like that, yes.
I know what you're going to say.
It's got character, but someone's put this aftermarket bottom half of fairing and hugger.
Yes.
And it doesesn't match. I can't understand why. I don't know whether that's the fault of the manufacturer of the.
Yeah, I think they've just said yellow and gone with it, haven't they?
I think so. But,
it does make it look. I mean, I actually prefer the bikini fairing on these anyway. I think they look quite nice.
I haven't seen one without this. So it's the first one I've actually seen of these.
Oh right, okay.
I'm quite impressed.
So the first one you've ridden, obviously, as well then.
It will be, yeah.
And the CBR.
Well, being a Honda man, bias.
Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, yes, it's a Honda CBR, and that was probably if I didn't go and try a few, that's probably where I'd end up. Okay. Because I've had Hondas.
So we've got to compete with that.
This is what you're up against. So you've got to beat the Honda.
So would you buy that colour scheme? Ideally?
Not my favourite choice. No.
No.
It's...
Oh well, we'll see.
But I mean, same again. If it was the right bike at the right price, then I could be swayed for the colour.
Right. So we need to get you on them then.
I think so.
And see what you think.
Yeah.
Right. Well, before you do that, you're going to go to Paul, who's going to give you some facts and figures, hints and tips on these three.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, Andy, take a look at our first bike this week, Kawasaki's ZX6R Ninja. Introduced in 1995, the Ninja weighs in at 182 kilos and has 100 brake horsepower on tap to provide you with all the performance you'll need. The riding position is sporty without being too extreme. The handlebars are fairly wide, and sat behind its big fuel tank, you'd be forgiven for thinking you're actually riding something bigger than a 600cc machine. This particular bike, Andy, is an early example from 1996, which makes it an F2 model. It's an N registration and has covered 19,500 miles. As for its condition, well, it's clean and tidy, although the previous owner has decided to colour code the wheels, which we think looks rather odd to say the least. But perhaps you'll love it, and if you do, you'll need to find £3,600. Just for a change, we thought we'd throw in a V-twin, Suzuki's SV650. This is actually the SV650S, which has a half fairing, although this one has had an aftermarket belly pan added. Something to be aware of on a V-twin is the engine braking. Try to resist knocking it down too many gears when you're approaching roundabouts and the like, or you could find the back end skipping around beneath you. It's a slightly different style of riding than you'll have been used to with your own 600 Hornet. This bike is an X-registered from 2001 and it's seen just 4,700 miles. It's in showroom condition, apart from the dodgy colour match, and it's on sale at £3,800. And finally, Andy, no 600cc sports bike gathering would be complete without Honda's trusty CBR 600. This bike has been the benchmark in the 600 sports class since it was first launched back in 1987. Since then, it's seen numerous changes to both styling and mechanics and continues today to be one of the top-selling machines in its class. It's surprisingly comfortable for a sports bike, and it's one of the few that features a dual one-piece seat, so you'll have no problem if you like to carry a pillion. On the handling front, you'll find it's predictable and precise, and it's an easy bike to ride fast. The 4-cylinder motor develops a very smooth 105 brake horsepower, but you'll need to hit around about 6,000 revs before it really starts to come on song. This bike is an S registered from 1998, so it's an FW model. It's done almost 8,000 miles, and once again it's in showroom condition. It is the most expensive though of this week's bikes at £4,100.
So there you go, Andy, that was Paul there with a few facts and figures. Did you learn anything?
I think I've learned a few things, yeah.
Good, good. Well, he is very knowledgeable about these things. So we're going to set you off on the ZX6. Have you ever been on one of these before?
I've never rode one before now.
Right, no. And you've not had much dealings with Kawasaki's?
No, I've rode one 15 years ago.
Right. It's funny, we have people in categories like Kawasaki men, Honda men, you know, so we'll see what you think. Right. So if you want to get your kit on and go and have a blast and let us know what you think.
See you later.
All right. So while Andy has a play on the Kawasaki, we're over to Paul and this week's used bike review.
I think I found the perfect bike to annoy the neighbours. Just take a listen to this. Oh, dearie, dearie me. My neighbours thought there'd been a bloody earthquake this morning when I fired this thing up about 8 o'clock on my front drive. But if it's kicking out that much noise at the back end, then there's probably only one name you'd expect to find up at the front. And there's no prizes for guessing. It is, of course, Harley-Davidson. When people think of Harley-Davidson, they very often imagine a huge touring-style bike with acres and acres of chrome. But to those who know, Harleys are much more than that. Not surprisingly, from a manufacturer who's been making bikes since 1903, the range of models available is immense. This is an FX-DX Dyna Superglide Sport, which was first introduced in August of 1998. But it's far from being a standard model, and it's true to say that you do very well to actually find two identical Harleys. Now on the face of it, this might look like any ordinary Harley-Davidson, but if you look a little bit closer, as with any bike really, you'll see that the previous owner has applied his own, or her own, very individual touches. Things like these bar ends here, big chrome bar ends with rubber inserts, nice big chunky things, dead comfy, really nice to grip hold of. Carried right through down to the footrest here, again we've got rubber inserts, and also the same applies to the other side with the gear change lever. Even the pillion pegs, these are an aftermarket accessory, and they would cost you an absolute fortune. But most of the work with this bike has been done down here in the engine. This is where all the money has been spent. Standard bike would be a 1450cc V-twin. This is now a 1550cc, so we're up by 100cc. But not just that, we've now got flat top pistons in this, which helps to give a higher compression. We've got high lift and reprofiled cams. Again, all aimed at developing more power and improving the performance. Got a stage 2 Dynajet kit fitted as well. It's starting to sound a little bit like a sports bike, isn't it? Talking of sound, you can't fail to notice this exhaust, which is, again, an aftermarket accessory, but something that I have noticed with this. So just take a look at this. If you put the bike on its side stand and you sit astride the bike, my leg now is actually touching the exhaust, and the heat shield finishes there. That bit, that black bit there, is off my pants, because it's melted my pants, because that bit there gets red hot. You could actually fry an egg on that, so you need to be a bit careful. You need to make sure you've got your foot up there if you want to sit on it while it's on the side stand. As you know, it's very, very noisy, and as for the legalities of the exhaust, well, I wouldn't really like to comment. The previous owner has actually told me that all of the engine work has done absolutely nothing to improve the bike's top-end performance, but it has made a considerable improvement to the acceleration and mid-range power, which is where all of the fun is to be had on a bike of this style. Everyone that's seen this motorcycle over the last few days, all the non-bikers have loved it. They think it looks big and it's mean, it makes a lot of noise. It is a big, black, noisy motorcycle, and to some people that is what biking is all about. As for a bike to live with every day, I'm not sure it's exactly my cup of tea, but for those long, straight highways, it's absolutely perfect. Very, very addictive, the feel and the noise. It's even got cruise control as well, so you can sit back and relax. Dead simple, really easy little device. Twist the throttle open, just wind that little screw up there with your thumb. You feel it just gripping, take your hand off, the throttle stays where it is. snap it shut when you need to slow down. Very, very clever. What I would say about this is, it's not the type of bike that I would like to go to the south of France on, but it's the kind of bike I'd love to have waiting for me when I arrive.
Well, thank you for that, Paul. And while you're away, Andy returned with the Kawasaki. What did you think?
Well, yeah, a bit like that, really.
Yeah.
For one, I couldn't get to live with the gear lever because someone set it very high. I mean,
Right.
that's easy enough to do, but it
Yeah.
made life awkward riding it.
Yeah.
The front brake had a on-off feel. Sort
Yeah.
of, you know, it worked well, don't get me wrong, it works, but it was on-off working, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
No feel to it. And I found the front end somehow very, very heavy. I don't know whether the tyre pressures are incorrect or...
Yeah.
I mean, they are quite new tyres looking at
They
them.
are very new tyres, yeah.
So they're brand new.
I mean, I've always said, I mean, I might come under criticism, but I think Kawasaki's are a heavier bike anyway, myself.
I've not rode one, so
Yeah.
I can't comment.
But it is, I mean, it's quite old. It's an N-Reg, and it's done 20,000 miles.
Well, that showed as well, I think.
And looks-wise, I mean, we discussed earlier on.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the wheels and the paint job at all.
No.
I can't say I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just the things.
This particular
Yeah.
bike made
I mean, it didn't help, like I say, with the gear lever. Just set me off on the wrong footing, if you know what I mean.
You've got to feel comfy, haven't you?
Yeah,
with
it
everything?
was awkward. I had to actually lift my foot off the pedal
Right.
to change gear because it's set that high. No,
Yeah.
it makes life awkward.
Right, well, come over here then, and we
Right.
shall talk about the Suzuki.
What's this one?
The SV650. Have you ever been on one of these before?
I didn't even know these existed.
Did you not?
No, this is how out of touch I
there you
am.
go.
Yes, but I mean, first impression of this, I do like it.
So, Andy, you climb on board and tell us what you think.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, while Andy has a blast on the Suzuki, we're over to our legal weasel, Paul, and bikes and the law.
Well, thank you, Fran. And this week, if you've not guessed already, we're talking about these things, tyres, because there's loads of rules and regulations, as with everything in biking, about tyres, hasn't there, Chris?
Certainly are.
Right, tell me about these tyres. These are all illegal. I know that.
Just a little bit, yeah.
The rules for tyres, though, are different for bikes, are different to cars, aren't they?
Yeah, cars,
Tread.
it went up to 1.6 mil. Bikes are still 1 millimetre. So it's got to have 1 millimetre tread around the entire circumference and over 3/4 of the breadth of the tyre, including the outer edges.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So obviously on this one we can see this is what we call in the trade ghost.
Yeah.
There's
that's
nothing
a
at all
technical
down
term,
the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. If this tyre, if you imagine this was virtually brand new and the tread patterns were still there, if it showed this,
Oh dear, that's
that would make the tyre illegal.
a bit sad, isn't it?
So cords showing, deep cuts, bumps, things like that,
Right.
lumps showing the carcass distorted, makes the tyre totally illegal, even though the rest of it looks pristine.
Right. These have come off bikes, you know, here.
Yeah.
Pinch these out, and these
service.
are bikes that have come in for service. People are riding on the road with bikes.
It's not
tyres
uncommon
like
to
that.
stop bikes, especially the high performance ones, and see the cord showing through a tyre, which, when you think about it, is madness, isn't it?
It is madness, isn't it? Total madness. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the rear tyre, obviously, and that's the sort of thing that's more common on a rear tyre. That
Yes.
kind of problem.
The cord coming through.
Front tyre there.
Front tyre again, just come off, come off for service, and you can see again, it's so badly worn down there, that is going to be really, really affecting the handling of the bike.
Well, as I always ask you when we're sort of summing up, penalties. What are the
Fixed
penalties?
penalty,
Fixed penalty, which is
potentially, £60, 3 points.
right,
You could get away with a vehicle defect form, the 14-day rectification period.
depending on how bad it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a level 3 fine, potentially up to £1,000.
Yeah.
And again, an important thing, if you're involved in a collision and the insurance come and assess it and they see something as bad as that, you're potentially not going to be covered by your insurance.
Thanks, Paul and Chris. Well, that's it for part one. Join us in part two when Andy will be back with the Suzuki and we'll be setting him off on the CBR. And Paul will also be back with some riding advice. See you after the break. Welcome back to Used Bike Heaven. Now, if you were with us before the break, you'll know we're with Andy, who's looking for something a bit sporty with a bit of fairing. Currently rides a Hornet 600. So we sent him out on the ZX6R. He kind of liked it. There were certain things he didn't like, certain things he did. Then we sent him out on the Suzuki SV650. And I need to know what you think.
First impressions, very good.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you'd asked me before I rode it, I would have said, no, I don't want a twin.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it was a fantastic
So
ride.
you're not a twin man then?
Not a twin man. I've always had fours. I mean,
Right.
you know, anything over 250 sort of
Yeah.
cc. And I would have said, no, I don't want a twin. I'm not into them.
Right.
But I did actually like riding it.
So handling then?
Yes. Very,
Very
very,
good.
yes. Oh yeah, it's nimble. It feels like it'll go wherever you want to put it. Obviously, I haven't had a good enough ride on it to
Yeah.
I mean,
you're after another blast on this, I can tell, aren't you?
Yes, yes. So honestly,
there's no need to hint.
Please.
So looks-wise, we know about this this little.
Oh, that
thing
yeah.
going on.
It definitely needs a visit to a paint shop, doesn't it?
It just needs either whipping off, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said you hadn't.
I've
seen
not
one of these
seen it
before.
without. No.
They look good. I mean,
Right.
obviously you're after a fairing, so you may decide, you know, you want, but that needs to be dealt with, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I mean,
Right.
It's. I think it started life as a road cone or something.
I got that impression. Now this is £3,800, so we're middle of your budget.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the newest bike as well.
It is.
So yeah, I'm very tempted. I
Right.
think I'd like to have another blast before I sort of made an absolute decision.
I'm guessing
on it.
that from you, yeah.
Yeah.
Comfort-wise, I didn't ask you about the ZX6. Is that comfortable?
Yeah, it's typical sports bike,
Right.
but I couldn't fault this either.
So top marks for the Suzuki then. Fantastic. Well, if you walk this way,
Right.
you are a Honda man.
Oh yes.
CBR
Yeah.
600. Have you been on one of these before?
I've had a couple of these before.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sort of Honda biased. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, you know, I'd
That's
be amazed.
definitely swayed me.
Oh yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
swayed me.
So,
Right.
jump on and let us know what you think.
We'll give it a try.
Marvellous. So while Andy does his third and final test, we're over to Paul, who has some riding advice.
Thank you very much, Fran. Now, recently I was talking to a test examiner, motorcycle test examiner, and he was telling me that lots of people are failing the test, or quite a few fail the test, on the U-turn. People seem to have problems with it. It's probably because when they're going around doing a U-turn, the bike's going very slow. They're trying to control the speed of the machine with the throttle, or worse still, by using the front brake. And if you pull your front brake when the bike is sort of pitched over, even a little bit at low speed, the front of the bike will dip and it will pitch and it will become unstable and unbalanced. It's not ideal, and you'll probably end up falling off. In fact, this is the sort of thing that happens. So here we go, U-turn now, and you think, I'm going a bit fast. Oh, I pressed the brake, and it gets all wobbly, and the throttle's going backwards and forwards, and you fall off. See what I mean? Now, the reason that happened is because I was using the brake there. I thought I was going a bit quick. I used the brake, the front of the bike pitches, it becomes unbalanced, and you fall off, and it's very embarrassing. So a much easier way of doing it is to control your speed with your left hand, with the clutch. All you need is a kind of fast tick over with your right hand, and then you can control the speed of the bike, fast and slow, by pulling in and letting out the clutch. So let's have another go, this time using the clutch. Clutch in, clutch out, clutch in. So just by bringing the clutch in and out, I can control the speed of the bike. And that's all there is to it. So at low speed, if you want to slow down, dip your clutch, because if you brake and you're banked over, you will fall off.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that. And while you were away, Andy returned with the CBR. What did you think?
It's a typical Honda, I think.
Yeah.
It's got everything. It's comfy, very easy to use. I couldn't fault it really. The only thing I'd say, it's perhaps a little bit boring because it's a Honda.
Yeah, yeah.
But the build quality's there, everything.
Well, it's a Honda.
Yeah, user friendly.
Exactly. Does
Yeah.
everything you want it to do. Anything bad about it?
No, I mean I'm not a fan of the paint colour.
No.
The same with the exhaust looking a bit. I'm not quite sure. I think somebody just blown that over with a bit of matte black.
Yeah, it doesn't look particularly attractive,
But
does it?
No, I mean it's all standard. It's a standard bike.
Yeah.
But
But
it is tidy.
expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is actually just over my budget or what I wanted to spend.
4,100.
Yeah, yeah, and it's quite expensive for the age of the bike. I
Yeah.
think.
And it's done just under 8,000 miles. as
Yeah, which
opposed
isn't a great mileage, is it?
Now the Kawasaki, we're going to just go over them all again. The Kawasaki, good and bad points.
I can't think of a good point really. I don't like the colour.
Right.
I don't like the wheels. Oh yeah, it had plenty of go, but it made you want to use it all the time, which
Bye-bye
driving
licence.
license. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The Suzuki.
That shocked me somewhat. It wasn't what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Good points. It's got loads of bottom end grunt. It looks apart, minus
Apart from
the extra bits that they
Yeah.
put on there. It's very chuckable, or it feels it would be. I mean, like I said, I didn't try it long enough and hard enough for that.
Yeah.
Bad
And it's
points.
mid-budget.
Yeah, it's the right
Yeah.
price,
Yeah.
and I can't think of a bad point, to be
Right.
honest.
Well, we know what you think to the Honda. So have you, by any chance, chosen one of these three? Don't tell me too much. You think you know?
I could shock you.
You could shock me.
I could show you.
Okay, right. Well, don't tell me just yet, because as I say, we're going to go to Paul, who's going to give us a recap.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Fran. Now, Andy, you haven't been too complimentary about our ZX6R Ninja at £3,600. You complained about the dodgy gear change and felt that you really needed to thrash the bike to get the best out of it. One thing we are agreed on, though, is the wheels. They're just not nice. But this is the cheapest bike, so maybe you can afford a new paint job. How about the V-Twin then at £3,800? You were genuinely impressed with Suzuki's SV650S. You enjoyed the torquey power delivery, and once you got used to the engine braking, you were perfectly at home on this bike. As for the somewhat less than accurate colour match, well, you could always remove the belly pan and return the bike to its original trim. Or maybe you'll follow in the footsteps of thousands of riders before you and choose the Honda CBR 600 at £4,100. Apart from the exhaust and this particular colour scheme, you couldn't find too much to complain about. In fact, you described the bike as being boringly good. But remember, Andy, it is actually over your budget. So which is it to be?
So there you go, Andy. That was Paul with our recap. Put me out of my misery. Which one is it going to be?
Right, I'm going to shock you, and I think I'm going to shock everybody that knows me.
Yeah.
But I think the Suzuki.
Really?
It's converted me from Honda. It's also converted me from a inline four, hasn't it?
Exactly.
But yeah,
My goodness. Well,
that's the way to go.
that's fantastic. And I'm within your budget, which is not like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Okay.
So there you go,
Thanks.
you see, we've actually converted a Honda man to a V-Twin man. That's fantastic. We'll see you next week, some more Used Bike Heaven.